Well, today I'm going to continue the install of the trailer backup camera, the customer install camera on the back of the trailer. I probably am going to get the wires run. I don't think I'm going to physically attach it today, but I maybe. I just need to make sure that I put it in the correct spot. So I'm going to do some of the work today, and then I'll continue it at a later date once I figure out where I'm going to mount it. Alright, so I am not mounting it because the actual mounting hardware they gave me is through bolting through the wall of the camper, which I do not intend to do. I think what I'm going to do is make a bracket to mount it to the rear bumper out of a piece of like 1/8 inch thick steel, or maybe like 10 or 12 gauge steel. And because it's not for going down the road, it's just for backing up. So I would prefer not to put any holes in the camper, and I'll show you that in a little bit. So today we're going to deal with the wiring harness for the most part, and then once I figure out how I want to mount the camera without putting any holes in the skin of the trailer, then we'll do that. So let us continue on this adventure. All right, so what I have in here, I showed you all of it before, but these are the tire pressure sensors, and this is the TPMS module. So I'm gonna go set those in the truck right now so I don't get them confused or lose them. And this is my old connector. Here's the new connector that goes from 7 to 4. And here's the dock for the connector on the trailer. It says to mount it upright so that the water can't get into the connector, and that way you won't get any water on your connector for the camera. So that's what we're gonna do now. All right, it appears to be 2 harnesses. This is the one that connects into the connector in the truck. And then it comes down here, and one of these fittings is for the tire pressure monitoring system, and the other one goes back to the camera. So that's the first. And then the second harness goes from that harness all the way to the back. And I'm assuming that I'm gonna have to coil some of this up somewhere, because that's a lot of cable. So my trailer isn't that big, so let's get on with this. All right, I wanted to make sure that I had the right end of the connector that I'm stringing out, so I looked at the camera to see what the connector was, and there is the connector that goes into the camera. So we'll go from there. Alright, what I've decided to do is start from the front and work back. And so I've got to put the harness through here. And it also said to mount the tire pressure monitoring system on the back side of one of these members so that it's protected from rock chips. So, and luckily it's got a short right here. So we'll feed these through, and then I'll get down there below and we'll pull the cable back and make sure we have enough flex to tie into the connector. So, but it looks like I am gonna get it real close to the length of the existing, and then we'll go from there. So if you can tell, this is for the lights and the battery charging, and here's the new camera one. So I'll probably end up tie strapping those two together. So let us continue on. Alright, the next phase of this is going to require me to lay on my back and scoot along underneath the trailer. So I brought a creeper, I brought some high quality zip ties, and here we go. As I work on this, I become a little bit more questionable about the the wiring and so forth for this. Anyways, here we are. We're down underneath. Here's the cable that I need to pull. Right there is the hose for the gas going to the stove, the refrigerator, the outside kitchen, and the hot water heater. So I think I am gonna run along there as well, and then I will probably mount the tire pressure monitoring on the back side of this first cross member, because that it looks like it'll be very well protected right there. So I'm gonna start doing that. I'm not gonna show you me rolling along my back, but I'll show you when I get done. Alright, based on the length of the cable for the tire pressure monitoring, I didn't want to loop it up too much, so I'm going to run it across this second cross member and install the module right there. So it should be okay, I think, right up against the frame, and that way it looks pretty protected to me. So that's where I'm going to put it. And then on the other side, once I get everything tie strapped up, I'm gonna ring the harness for the camera in, and we'll start running that, tying it into the connector. So let me get this all zip tied up real nice, and then we'll move on. Well, I have it loosely roughed in, but this is how much extra I have. There's the connector going back to the camera. There's the connector for the front harness, and as you can see, there is a lot, let me repeat that, a lot of cable here. It said it's good for up to 32-foot trailer, but mine's a 28 or 29, and it's just, as you can see, it's just a ton of extra. So the next part of this is going to be cable management, because there's a lot of cable to manage. So I will definitely clean it up so it's not dragging, but I gotta figure this one out. So once I get it all done and nice and prettied up, I'll show you, and then we can look back at the back and see how I can fabricate a bracket to mount the camera on, because again, it's not for going down the road, it's only for low speed backing up. So let me get on to this step. Alright, I'm about halfway back. Up there where I put the connection, you can see I try to put a couple loops in there for a little stress relief. I put another loop at the next cross member, another loop at the next cross member, and I'll continue that trend on until I get to the back. So I'll show you again when I get some more done. Alright, so I've made it all the way to the back. I've looped up the end. I got a loop right there, just right here at the back, so if I need more when I go to mount the camera, I can have it. I then ran it, put another loop right behind the wheels. I did not put any loop over the wheels. I just crossed over the wheels, tied it to the cross members, and then I showed you what was up front already. So I now have it wired all the way from the front to the back, so I'm ready to go. I just got to figure out what I'm going to use to mount it to this bumper. So we will get out and I will show you. There's the mount for the spare tire. I want to have the camera at the center line, which is right here. The instructions say to not mount it any lower than 31.5 inches. So that means I need to get it up about another foot from right here. So what I was thinking about doing was getting a piece of just flat plate, bend it with a 90, and then another 90 up at the top to mount the bracket to, and then I'll just self-tap screws right into the bumper top, I mean not top, but side and bottom, which should be plenty, because that the camera weighs less than a pound, and like I said, it's not, well, I had a call, so So anyways, we're gonna get up there, and I forget what I was talking about. I think I was talking about the mount, but I gotta figure that out. But it's all ready to get wired in now. I just gotta go put the docking station up at the front for the and you can see it laying on the ground up there. And oh, look at all the wasp nests, or the hornet's nests on my axle. So man, so there you go. That's that. So let me go up front and do that other thing, and we'll close this puppy out. All right, so I haven't cut these off yet, but they give you the docking station, and that's to keep the connector clean and dry. And they give you these giant zip ties to mount it. So that's what I did, and as you can tell, it's pretty sturdy. It locks in place, and that way you know when you go to hook it up, it's going to be functional. So seems to be the end of the install of the cabling. So let's go back in the back and look at what I got to do. Okay, so you can see the cable down there hanging. Dead center is right about there, and 31 inches is right about in there. So I need to get some kind of bracketry to lift it up to right there, but I may want to go higher so that it's over the spare tire. Now the spare tire could probably be moved down because it's not in the center, so I could probably loosen it up and have it scoot over to the center, and it won't be in the way of my electrical plug. And then I could just put something to the top of that, or just on the back here, straight piece up, and then you know, just mount it up here. So we'll figure it out, but I think that's what I'm going to do. I think I'm just going to get a flat piece, self tap into there, have it come up, and then mount the bracket to that, and we'll be good to go. May not be centered, but it'll be, or I could just move that down and have it centered. So I think that's what I'm going to do, but you'll have to stick around until the next video to see how I finalize all this. So all right, so you saw me wire up the camper. So now I've shown you how to install the new connector on the truck. Saw me install the wiring harness on the trailer, and I showed you what I need to do to mount the camera in the TPMS module. So the last video in this series is going to be me mounting the TPS module, mounting the camera, and then setting the TPMS so that I have it for our next camping trip, which is in 2 weeks. So stick around, and thanks for watching again, and have a great fall day like I am.